Hi everybody, welcome back to the kitchen. Today I'm going to be making the second in my series of cauliflower dishes. Today I'm going to be making more of a French style. I'm going to do a grill and slightly braised cauliflower steak with a lemon caper beurre blanc sauce. Sounds really fancy. Okay, kind of, but it's really easy. So, check it out. I took my cauliflower and I cut it into about 1.5 inch wide steak. You need to be that wide or else it ends up turning into florets like this. Seasoning on this is going to be kind of simple. I'm going to put some salt on either side. We want this to open up, accept some flavor. I'm going to season this. I'm going to put a little bit of Old Bay seasoning on it because Old Bay isn't just for seafood. Old Bay has celery, and celery salt's the primary ingredient. And it's going to be a good savory that will contrast the beurre blanc sauce. Now, beurre blanc is basically a French butter sauce. It's a white sauce. And we're going to use that with some capers and some lemon. So to start off that way on the flavor wagon, I'm going to squeeze some lemon juice into this and let that acidity get in there. And what that will do is the acid, while it sits in the fridge, is actually going to almost start to cook this a little bit, almost like a ceviche. It'll start to work to break down some of the toughness of the cauliflower rather. Do that. Put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil in it. Don't know why I reached my squeeze bottle when I have another bottle right here, so I guess I'll do them both at once. There we go. And the last seasoning we're going to add is some ginger. I have some ground ginger here. If you had fresh to grate, that would be great, but that would be great. That's funny. Gonna work that in there. And put some on the other side. And these are going to be a nice contrast of flavors. We got some depth in the celery, salt that's in the Old Bay, a little acid working from the lemon juice, and then the ginger. And we're just going to let that marinate. And then I'll show you how we're going to grill it up, finish it in the oven for a second, and make the beurre blanc sauce. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. We're going to make our cauliflower and our beurre blanc sauce. Here we have our marinated cauliflower that we let sit for a while. And I have my cast iron pan screaming hot. I'm going to add to it a little bit of canola oil. And that's going to get hot instantly. I'm going to take my cauliflower and put it right on it. And make sure that all this good marinade gets on it too. We're going to let that cook to get a nice sear. About 5 or 6 minutes aside. And to help that, I'm going to put my kitchen weight on it so it really sits down the pan. In the meantime, I'm going to get ready the beurre blanc sauce. I'll start with some parsley, which I'm going to finely chop. Always use the flat leaf parsley. It's got a lot more flavor than the curly parsley. And you just take this and you roll it up like some people roll other leafy substances. And chop it nice and fine. Bring it back together and cross chop it. And just like that, we have a nice fine chop of our parsley. I'm also going to take 1 clove of garlic. Pound that to get the skin off. The skin comes right off. And I'll chop that nice and fine as well. Just finely slice it. You can press it here too. Pressing the garlic would be a great idea. Alright, so we have that. And I want just a little bit of onion. So I'm going to take the tail off. Split it. Now, a beurre blanc traditionally would use shallots, but I know that shallot's not something that most people keep in their kitchen. I know I don't, as a matter of course. Yes, we don't really need that much. Literally only going to take a couple tablespoons of onion. So I'm going to slice it fine and give it a chop. All right. So in my saucepan here, I'm going to take some extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to add to that my onion. I have my flame on medium there. That's starting to sizzle a little bit. Now season that with just a little bit of salt, not too much because it's going to get a lot of unsalty things into it. And we'll taste that later. The other thing we're going to need for our beurre blanc is some lemon. So I'm going to use the juice of half a lemon. I'm going to grab a fork so I can pull the seeds off. Alright, that's all set to go. Now I always promise you things that are quick and easy. So we have our onions, they're softening there. We're going to let them go. It's been about 4.5 minutes on our cauliflower. Let's go see what that looks like for a chart. There we go. Turn the light off to get a better look at it. Nice coloring there around the outside. Gonna put that weight on it. Keep our heat up nice and high. Medium-high heat. And let that go. Now in the meantime, our onions are nice and soft. Now we're going to add our other ingredients today. We're going to add our garlic, our parsley, and I have here about a tablespoon of capers. that brininess is going to work great with the acid from the lemon juice. Speaking of which, going to take our lemon juice, just stream it right into the pan. We'll see that mist there, get that out of there. Alright, just let that go. Now that all that's softened, we're going to take some wine. I have here a rosé wine. A white wine would be fine too. Keep that heat up and put in a good couple glugs of wine. And we're going to let that reduce. All the alcohol is going to cook out of the wine. And we're going to be left with the great flavor that's behind it. Now we're going to want a little garnish a little bit later, a little bit of color. So I'm going to take this beautiful, nice ripe Roma tomato, which came out of my neighbor's garden. And we're going to dice that. I'll slice it long way, twice. And then just right across, so a nice little piece of tomato. Alright, we're going to let this go for a couple more minutes, let this reduce, and I'm going to speed up the video while that happens. Okay, at this point, it's been about 5 minutes on either side, so what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to take a little bit more of the wine, and add this to the pan. Reduce the heat and cover it. And let that braise in that liquid. What that's going to do is going to help to poach it and bring that together and get those tough parts done. So I'm going to bring my Beurre Blanc here to the front. Now, the key to a Beurre Blanc sauce is butter. The French butter sauce. Now, the most traditional way would be to just add butter to this. And do it very, very carefully, a little bit at a time. Now, I have a high quality butter. This is Kerrygold butter. It's Irish butter, European butter with a higher fat content. You can do it with Land O'Lakes, but the best butter you can afford for this. And you add the butter extremely slowly so it doesn't break. Now what we're going to do to help us out a little bit, this will make it a little bit easier for you at home, is we're going to add a little bit of heavy cream. If you don't have heavy cream, put in half and half. So at this point I'm going to put in 1 tablespoon of heavy cream. And stir that together. And this is kind of like a little insurance policy, and it makes sure that your Beurre Blanc actually turns out. Now once you add that to a boil, and it starts to reduce just a little bit, we're add our butter a little bit at a time. Now the key is here, is we're going to turn our heat all the way down to low. You can even turn it off. In fact, I'll do that. I'm going to put in just 1 chunk of the butter and just keep it moving. And you just want to keep that butter moving around until it completely dissolves and is absorbed into the sauce. And once you have the first pat of butter, you go to the next one. And just keep it moving. This is the key, to keep it moving so the sauce stays together. And what this does is it's allowing the butter to melt down into cream without breaking out into fat. Now here's the last pat of butter. I kept it moving the whole time, and it's turned into this beautiful creamy sauce. Beurre Blanc sauce is a big component of French cooking. All right. So now, I'm just gonna grab a spoon and check this for pepper and salt. Ooh, delicious with a little brininess. Creamy, buttery. Just gonna add a little bit of pepper. Now, a lot of people would use a white pepper here to not have it. A little bit of salt. Put just a touch of heat on it to keep it warm. Check that seasoning again. That's good. Now, Beurre Blanc sauce is a sauce that kind of tastes better on food than it does on the side of food. So, because it does taste all lemony and buttery, as it should. And now, let's plate it up. We have our cauliflower steak that's been braising, and it is good to go. Turn off that heat. Put it right there in the middle of our plate. Now we're going to take this lovely Beurre Blanc sauce. Run it over the top and around the side. And we're going to garnish it with some of these fresh tomatoes. And here you go. Cauliflower steak and a Beurre Blanc sauce. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe for more great videos. Bon appetit.